Last month, pharmacies across the United States started stocking and selling the country's first ever over-the-counter version of Naloxone, also known as Narcan. This is a medication that helps to prevent fatal overdoses from opioids. It's a simple, fast-acting nasal spray that, when used at the correct moment, can revive somebody from the brink of death.
It is a shocking statistic. More than 150 people die every day to fentanyl overdoses in the U.S.
The fentanyl crisis in this country is causing what some officials are calling a tidal wave of deaths of American teens.
If this is a way to keep kids from dying, then so be it.
A new tool in the fight against overdoses.
In 2022 alone, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's National Center for Health Statistics estimates that 83,000 people died from opioid-related overdoses in the United States alone. Ultimately, we need to take greater action to prevent more fatal overdoses. This not only includes reducing prescribing to the minimum amount of medication necessary, but also getting expanded access to Narcan. Experts worry that with an unpredictable retail price and sporadic availability on store shelves, as well as just general confusion in the public about why they might need to carry this medication with them even if they don't use opioids, may prevent the transition of Narcan from prescription only to over-the-counter from being as effective as it could be. Additionally, there is debate in school districts about whether or not schools should be stocking Narcan. Last year, a student fell unconscious after walking out of the bathroom in her school in Colorado. When the school's lead nurse heard the girl's friends mentioned drugs, she knew she had to act fast. Thankfully, her school had a dose of Naloxone. This medication saved this child's life. The reason for it is that even a few minutes under the influence of opiates can be enough to be fatal. But not all schools are on board with the idea of having an opiate reversal agent on site. There are a lot of school districts that have signed on, but there are more and more schools that are pushing back, either because of the stigma or because of an inability to stare facts in the face and admit that children not only have access to opiate medications in their family's medicine cabinets, but also that there is a huge surge in contamination among recreational drugs with the potent opiate fentanyl. The problem with fentanyl is that it takes such a small dose in order to have a therapeutic impact, and unfortunately, because it has a narrow therapeutic index, a small amount can take you from having an appropriate opiate response to being fatal instantly. The problem is most people don't know if their drugs are contaminated. This makes it even more important not only for schools, but potentially for other organizations to stock Narcan as well. It's not a bad idea for us to broaden this conversation, as uncomfortable as it might be, to say, is it appropriate for all employers, for all airplanes, for all churches to include this medication simply as a part of their first aid kit as well as their AED equipment? I don't know the right answer, but I do know that we have suffered in this country at the hands of opiates for years. It's time for us to take a big step back and release the idea that the addiction is the function of the addict. The truth is, the medications are addictive. They were overprescribed for years. Doctors were expressly taught that opiates are not addictive and were encouraged to give higher and higher and higher doses. We also know that we've been lied to by Big Pharma about the duration of action of many of the long-acting opiates like OxyContin. This increases their addictive potential because when you think that the drug is still supposed to be working, it has already started to wear off, leading to the withdrawal symptoms. My advice to you as a pharmacist is take a look at how you perceive people who use opiates. Find a place in your heart that has empathy for the basic fundamental right that humans have to live on this earth. This may give you a moment where you go, you know what? Even though it pushes me and makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable, I would rather have an opiate reversal agent in my pocket, in a child's school, in my employer's office, so that we can save a potential life. The other thing is, people overdose on opiates even at their doctor's prescribed doses. This is not always a matter of addiction. This is sometimes a matter of overprescribing and over access to opiates. Let's do the right thing and carry this and teach ourselves how to use the Narcan nasal spray just in the exact same way that we would teach ourselves how to check a blood sugar in a diabetic person who might be having an incidence of low blood sugar, and just as we would learn how to assess a pulse in someone who is passed out. The time has come for us to remove the stigma around opiate use and recognize that we have the potential now, with a simple, easy to use, over-the-counter agent, to save someone's life.